Hello, hello, welcome back, It's Sheryl Schmidt from Sheryl Schmidt Artistry, and I was playing around in my studio earlier today and came up with this flower, and I absolutely love how it turned out. I thought it'd be really fun to show you how I achieved this. For those of you that are fairly new to alcohol inks and you see I guess I better tell you first off that it is an alcohol ink painting. And those of you that have just been introduced to alcohol inks and you see so many people using the airbrush and stuff with to create this style of flower, I want to let you know that I don't use any airbrushes at all in today's project. All you're going to need is something to manipulate the air. This is the Tim Holtz blower, and I will leave a link to that down below in my description box, as well as my alcohol ink colors and anything else that I use. If you're in a bind and you can't find something like this, a lens cleaner, there's a tool for cleaning your lenses on your cameras. It's very similar to that. I even, I don't have anything handy, even those little bulbous suction cups that you use for babies to remove mucus from their noses, those will work, and you can find those at the dollar store, and that'll manipulate the air for you as well. So there are a couple of other options if you can't get your hands on a tool like this. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you for stopping by and checking me out. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button down below, and if you hit the bell icon right beside it, it'll be easy to know when I upload a new video, because you'll be notified. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back and supporting me again today. I really do appreciate all the support that everybody has given me over the last few months. And so I guess without further ado, let's get started on today's project. I'm working on Yupo paper. I took an 8.5 by 11 sheet of Yupo paper and cut it in half. So this piece would be 5.5 by 8.5 is the size that I'm working on. Now, normally when you look at these flowers, you would think that you're going to create the shape in a U going this way and blow all the petals out, but you're actually going to create a U in the opposite direction so that it actually looks like a U. I do like to dry that as I'm laying down the ink, because you want that first layer to be really, really dry. I think I'm going to work in a different color. That flower was done, I believe, with raspberry. That was done in raspberry. So the next flower, I think I'm gonna go quite dark. I think I'm gonna try the eggplant maybe. So I've got Adirondack eggplant. It's gonna be my color of choice. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull in my little heat gun. You want to make sure you're holding it a fair distance away from your paper, because you don't want to move the ink, you just want it to dry. If all you have is a hair dryer, put it on the lowest setting on and make sure you're quite a distance away from your paper. So I'm gonna lay that down. Oh, that came out really fast. The reason why I'm using the heat gun is I don't really want to move that paint. I'm just going to come in, or move that ink. I'm just going to come in with my paintbrush and make that shape that I'm after while the ink is still wet. Move that, manipulate that how I want it. And I've got that curved U shape. And like I've said in other videos, when you're dealing with alcohol ink, sometimes you just got to take what you get. It does its own thing. It is its own, has its own mind. There we go. So you don't want to bring your heat gun in too close. With it being Yupo paper, it will melt your paper. And then I'm going to just take my blower and just give it a couple extra little squirts just to really make sure that that's dry, and it is. I've got a Q-tip at the ready just in case I want to change the shape of my petal a little bit. I can easily manipulate it with a Q-tip. And in my fine tip applicator here, I have 99% rubbing alcohol. This bottle has a metal tip on it, and it is a 20 gauge or 0.5 millimeter hole in it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put down just a little drop of alcohol. I'm not going to put down a lot to start with, 1 or 2 little drops, and I'm going to start blowing that ink. And you want to have, I like to kind of rest my hand on the table so that my blower is at a definite angle. I'm going to put some more alcohol down, move my hand a little bit. I don't like that, so I'm just going to use my Q-tip, and while the alcohol is still wet, and you want to make sure that you're really drying between each application of alcohol. If you let the alcohol sit for a minute before you blow it out, it'll pick up a little bit more of that ink. And I'm just puffing that ever so gently. I don't want to take the petal right off the page there, but I really like the shape that I'm getting. You can always lay down more alcohol. It's better to put a little bit of alcohol down at a time and go over it, make several petals. I'll bring you in a little bit closer here. So as you can see, I've got several petals. They're kind of overlapping one another there. And I turn my paper as I go. If I don't like something, I just put a little bit more alcohol down, change the shape, blow it out some more. And I like to, like I said, I like to have all those petals overlapping because then you get such a great shape to your flower, and you get so much dimension. And when you look at a flower in nature, it's not just one set of petals, it's layers and layers of petals. So there we go. And I always have so much fun seeing all the different undertones in the inks. When you think of a purple, you don't always think of all the reds and blues and all the other colors that go into making up that color. So sometimes you never know what color flower you're going to end up with, and I just think that is so much fun. Just going to pull back some of that. So I've just got a little bit of alcohol out on those ends. It's a little wet yet, so I'm going to lift my blower up so that I'm 4 or 5 inches or more off the paper and just dry that. Don't be afraid to bring your blower in close and really manipulate those petals. Again, like I said, I'm making, layers on top of layers. It really is a loose style of creating. You've just got to, you know, allow the inks to do their own thing and be okay with what you get. And remember that alcohol inks are a little bit controlled by the weather. So if you've got a really humid day and there's a lot of moisture in the air, your inks are going to behave different. They may not be as easy to manipulate or control. It may take longer to get the alcohol to evaporate the way you would like. But overall, I am very happy with that. I love how dark the petals are in right close. I do want to see if I can maybe just remove, I'm going to put a little bit of alcohol on my Q-tip. I want to see if I can maybe remove just a little bit of the alcohol right in through there, just for a little bit of separation on the petals. Yeah, I'm okay with that. And this, I just want to change the shape a little bit. Maybe give it just a little bit more of a, there we go. Yeah, overall, I think I am okay with that. See if I can get a little bit more petal action out this direction. Just was feeling a little unbalanced. There we go. I think that's better. Let's see if I can just rub a little bit. Now, when you're dealing with Yupo paper, of course, once your ink is down, it's down. You're not really able to remove it like you can if you were working on a ceramic tile or something. But just a little bit more of a manipulation there is all I'm after. There we go. All right, so I want that to dry. Again, I'm just going to lift my blower up a good 4 or 5 inches or so or more off my paper. All right, on to the next step, putting in the center of our flower here. Oh, still need that. So now, to get the center of the flower in, I'm going to use pitch black Adirondack ink. I'm going to use one of my Q-tips. You want to make sure, and the reason why I like these ones, these Q-tips, is because they're really, really pointy on one end and then they're fat on the other. I get these at Walmart in the makeup department. I'm sure you can find them on Amazon too. And so I want to put some black alcohol ink right on the tip of that Q-tip. Do it off your paper. I'm not sure if you can see, but I did get a little drop there, but that's okay. Figure out where you want kind of the top of your center to be. I'm going to put a little mark there. And then from that spot, I'm just going to dab in my center. The reason I like to dab it in rather than paint it in is I think it gives it a more organic look and feel. If you need a little bit more alcohol ink, just go off your project again, put more onto that tip of that Q-tip, and come in and just keep dabbing away. And by dabbing along the coming in and dabbing in along the line of the flower here as well. You get that real organic feel of where the center of your flower is. I've laid it on its edge just to get a little bit more of that alcohol ink onto my project. All right, I think that looks pretty good. It's not going to be 100% covered. It's still going to have, you know, maybe some white poking through. If you want to round that out a little bit more, go ahead and round that out. Okay, and while that is drying, I want to come in and put in a little bit of that blue watercolor look and feel that I had on my sample picture. So I made, you know, just a little bit of a blue sky off to the one side. So in my paint tray here, I'm going to put some cloudy blue. That's the color I like to use. I'm going to put a few drops in there. And then you want a few drops of rubbing alcohol in there to water it down, because you want to dilute the color. Remember, when you add blending solution to your alcohol ink, blending solution will keep your color vibrant, keep it true. When you add rubbing alcohol into your alcohol inks, it dilutes it. Oh, got a little spider friend. I'm going to dab it off onto my paper towel because I don't want it soaking wet, and I'm going to come in very carefully and just dab in along my petals. And you want to make sure you kind of overlap those dabs because you don't want any lines or demarcations. I start a little farther out, and as my brush starts to get dry, then I will come in closer to my petals. If I'm really not liking a certain spot, I'll very gently absorb that spot into my ink. And you just keep going. Once I'm out, you know, quite a distance here, I don't worry too much about dabbing my paintbrush off. And once I start getting out, it's not so much a dab as it is, you know, just the paintbrush swirling around and moving. If I've got some big lines or anything, I will just dab those out. So this little mark that I got here, I'm just gonna blend that out into the flower, make it look like it's supposed to be there. Come back out. These little spots here, I'll just take care of those with my watercolor background. And I'm running out of ink, so I'm just going to add a little bit more. And I'm off camera again. I am so sorry. You guys need to yell at me when I go off camera. Ooh, that's probably more ink than I need, but... All right, and away we go, some more. Some of working with alcohol inks is really repetitive. Motions and techniques and designs. You just got to figure out what works for you. Don't be afraid to experiment and try something a little bit different. Just because I'm doing it a certain way, or you've seen somebody else do something a certain way. Don't assume or think that that is the only way to do it, because it's not. I really, really want to encourage you to try. Get in your studio, get in your art space, your creative space, and just play and see what you can create, see what happens. There we go, I like that. You could, of course, cover in the whole of your background with that watercolor feel if you so chose. I like the look and feel of it just being real kind of random and spark, you know, just a partial covering. I think it really gives it a fun look and feel. All right, so now I want to put in my first layer of highlights into my flower. I think I'm going to make this side the side that the sun is shining in on. So this is going to be the lighter side. I'm going to start with a gold paint pen. This one's just the Michaels Craft Smart brand. I prefer to use the Posca pens, but you got to use what you can find sometimes and make do with what you can find. Whatever brand paint pen you end up using, make sure you give it a really good shake, and then you want to dab it on your paper, on your test paper, and make sure it's flowing before you start working with it. Starting at the top, you're going to come in and just dab. It's going to be thicker and heavier in through the top, coming down towards the base, the bottom, and I start spreading out those dots as I come down the other side, spread them out. I like the metallic just because I like a little bit of interest and sheen on my work. While that's drying, I'm going to grab a couple of Copic markers. You could use Sharpie markers, you could use Spectrum Noir, anything that's an alcohol-based marker you can use. So I'm going to pull in this kind, let's see, this color is pecan, so it's kind of a browny green. It's E89 is the color. And then I want a lighter green to go with that. You know what, just for kicks and giggles, I'm going to pull in YG25. So I work with my thick end, the chisel end first, figure out where I want to put my stem. I start on my tip, and as I come around, I lay my marker down and make it fatter. Once I've got that in there, I'll come in and go over it again, and I just do quick little brush strokes with it just to add some texture. Now I'm going to come in with my lighter color, and I like using the brush tip for this, and on the side where my sun would be shining, sorry about that, my camera turned off. Like I said, I'm going to take my lighter colored marker, and on the side where the sun would be shining in, I'm going to dab it up and down just to break up that line a little bit, give it a highlight on that side of the stem. And of course, because these are alcohol-based markers, the alcohol will always react with itself. And then I want to take a darker color, a darker green. I'm going to take G29, pine tree green, and I'm going to come in kind of right beside that lighter green and go over top of the darker color. You don't have to add all the extra colors. It's just something I like to do. It's, you know, building up the layers, building up the texture. And again, I'm just doing tiny little dots all the way down. I'm not sure how well the camera is even picking that up. Let's see, I'll move you in a little. That's as close as I can move you in. I just like the texture in it. And again, like I said, there's no right way or wrong way to do this. You do what you like. You do what feels good to you. You can really see those gold pieces in there. Now I want to put some white highlights in. So I'm going to use my white Posca pen. Again, I want to just dab it, make sure the white is flowing. And then I'm going to come in and start putting the white in over top of the gold. Thicker in through that top and through that side where the sun is coming in from, kind of in a triangle almost, if you were. And then I'm going to start spreading those out. As I come down and I come through to the other side. And there we have it. That is quick and dirty how to make a droopy flower. Oh, sorry about that. My zoom. There we go. I'm going to zoom you out so you can see the whole piece. So once again, thank you so much for coming. I will leave links to all the products I used down below. I hope you'll give this technique a try. Let me know if you do. And again, thank you so much for joining me, for supporting my channel. If you really enjoyed this, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. And if you have a friend or you know somebody who might like to try playing with alcohol inks and creating a droopy flower, please share this video with them. Until next week, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.